abilities. The ability to recover depends on the brain's ability to rewire around different pathways. How this to occur, patients listed hundreds, even thousands of repetitions. These are very important. So trying to tell that to a 5-year-old with CP, you have to do 1,000 reps.
So, telling the 5-year-old with CP to do 1,000 reps, imagine if you could tell that 5-year-old, we want you to do 1,000 reps, and they were excited about it. And they were like, yes, I can't wait, let's do it, 5,000 reps. And they wanted to do it. Now, combine that with the growing body of research that shows that virtual reality can actually accelerate the brain's ability to rewire itself. Marry those two ideas together, and we believe that can be a significant disruptor in the rehabilitation industry. That's the idea behind Viribus VR Labs, to create a home therapy tool for children in particular with disabilities to get real results from their therapy. Now, this sounds very Buck Rogers futuristic, but in fact this idea was something that Bob thought up like, I don't know what, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
40 years? How old are you, Bob?
I don't know.
Long time ago.
So, as soon as you know, I myself had a cerebral palsy. And I was at a conference, and I forgot what it was, in 93, but I was listening to a lecture on neuroplasticity. I thought there was a way we could trick the brain into believing something that was not real. However, the technology didn't exist back in 93. Fast forward, I was in graduate school, and the professor asked if I wanted to join Boy Scout troop as an assistant leader. And that's where I met a young girl.
Yes, it's true. Bob was one of my scoutmasters. The Boy Scouts back in the day, you can see Bob there, there. So he was my scoutmaster. That's how we first met, long ago. Interestingly though, years later, I became the scoutmaster of the very same scout troop, and Bob's son joined that troop. And so I became Bob's son's scoutmaster. And the circle was completed. And that's how we reconnected and started thinking more along the lines of what we're doing now.
So, through a twist of fate, I reconnected with Brent. I found out he was doing all this crazy stuff with virtual reality AR. And the idea I had back in 93 came back to the forefront. Now, I told his mom, who told me, I said, tell Brent we need to have therapy. And the rest is history, and that's how Viribus VR Labs was formed. Now, to bring Tony into this, I know Tony Matthews is on the right here in Baltimore for 20 years. And he has a doctorate in physical therapy. He also is a board certified specialist in neurological physical therapy. So he does more than adult, stroke, TBI, MS, whereas I'm board certified in pediatrics. So I do more than the pediatric science part.
So let's talk about what it is. So the Viribus system is actually a suit that a child will wear, and on that suit are sensors that wirelessly communicate with each other and with an Oculus Go virtual reality headset. And that headset is creating games that the child is playing, additionally to address postural control. There are lots of modalities that we could address. We decided the first and most important one that we should address is postural control, particularly for children with cerebral palsy. Posture is a challenge, and so addressing that was our first challenge. So the sensors actually monitor the location of someone's posture, and when they're holding correct posture, they can play the games and they can interact in a certain way. The posture control is part of the game play. There's a whole line of games that we're developing that will do that. And this is really powerful stuff. Now, interestingly, there are other companies out there that are doing physical therapy type games. None of them exactly in the world of VR, the way that we're doing ours, where it's an immersive environment, and none of them with the ability to communicate with the therapist. The other portion of this system is the back end, in which a therapist can go in and see how often their patient is using the system at home. They can also adjust it remotely. So if it's too easy, they can make it harder. If it's too simple, they can, or whatever, too hard, they can make it easier so that their patient is getting the results they want to see. And that can all be done remotely, and so it becomes a telemedicine platform as well. We believe all of this together can tap into a home therapy market that has yet to see a product like this.
So, a little bit about the opportunity size. Currently, just with cerebral palsy, there are 764,000 children and adults living with CP in the U.S. alone. As you can see, just this market is significant. Then you start thinking about other conditions, such as stroke, MS, Parkinson's, spinal bifida, and the potential for this is significant.
So our plan right now, our milestones, we're in the process of prototype development. In fact, we're near the end of that process. We expect to have a prototype in Bob's clinic with his patients next week, which we're very excited about that. You know how it is when you're trying to do these things. It's like, come on, get it made. So it's almost in a prototype phase. It'll be out next week. We'll be testing that in his clinic for several months, getting feedback on how the sensors work, how the kids respond to the games, that sort of thing. Now, our goal is to have a product on the market in January. And so the plan will be to roll that out in January. Now, if you want one, or you know someone that wants one, or should want one, the way they're going to get to do that is to get on our waiting list. We have a waiting list that is growing rapidly. As you can imagine, people in this world that have children with cerebral palsy, when they begin to realize this type of technology is being applied to that problem, there's a lot of interest in that. And so we have a rapidly growing waiting list. We're building 200 units at the first of the year, and that's all. We're going to build 200 units. We're going to do that locally. And when I say locally, I mean these suits are going to be sewed by my mother and her quilting friends are going to put those suits together. I'm not kidding. Once those 200 suits are out in the field, having been purchased, we can really test market those, get a lot of good data from that, and then move forward with a mass production plan with the factory somewhere that would take to a larger audience. So
one thing I would talk about before we skip it is we're building this platform, this Brent said, we will have a wide variety of games to impact various impairments. So we're starting with postural control, but we'll move on to upper extremity balance, then we have virtual pharmacy. So a therapist will have a menu, so when they evaluate patients, they'll have a menu of games to address specific impairments.
And I'm going to let Bob speak to this. We've already started getting, as I mentioned, lots of folks interested in this. They're not just interested, they're very interested.
So as you can tell, these families are very passionate, and therapists as well, because this has been an ongoing problem for longer than my own career, which currently sits 33 years. So if you talk to therapists about how difficult it is to get children to do their activities at home to show improvement, it's very, very good. So that's why we wanted to make it fun. So when families hear about this, that now they don't have to really stress over getting their child to perform their home program, that they actually want to because it's fun. It's very powerful.
So we've worked hard to build a coalition of folks to be a part of this. Overworld is getting ready to go to the Thunder Launchpad. We're very excited for you guys. It's an awesome program. We just finished that our round with that and built some wonderful connections there that are helping with us on this. But we've also been working hard in the industry to build a board that has been advising us, an advisory board. And you can see these aren't just these are significant folks. Cindy Miles, the president of the Academy of Pediatric Physical therapy is on our advisory board. Eileen Fowler with the Center for Cerebral Palsy. Vivian Penn, who is the founding director of the Office of Research and Women's Health, is on our advisory board. And then, of course, he's on our advisory board, but he's taken an interest. Toby Keith has put his name behind it and said that he wants to support getting this type of product to kids with cerebral palsy. So we're happy to see a local guy like that has a small following help us get the publicity out about it.
So here we currently have surveys out in the field. One is a parent survey where we're asking parents about their process when they choose technology for their child. The other is a therapy survey, similar in context. And what we're wanting to do is get some feedback on, are we addressing the problem? You know, it's easy to get married to your product. And what we want to do is really listen to parents and therapists and say, you tell us what your problems are, and then hopefully we'll have a viable solution.
So if we could just leave that slide up there, and we're going to transition to the Q&A. I'm going to preempt one of your questions, though. You guys always ask, how can we help you? If you know a therapist that works in the area of physical therapy, particularly with people with disabilities, we would love for you, I know it's kind of long and you have to see all that, but if you are able to write down that survey and forward that to them, that would be fantastic. If you know a family who has children with developmental disabilities, if you could write that down and email them that link. These surveys are very important to help us get information about their needs and their challenges as we develop the product. So that would be the number one thing you can do right now to help us. And if you just want to leave that up while we do Q&A, give people time to write it down if they so choose.
All right, join me in thanking Bob and Brent. Great stuff. Your hands flash up, so I want to make sure I can do
Are you talking about share this on social media?
Absolutely not. I'm just kidding. Yes, please.
Other questions, comments? I'll ask the one that I go ahead with, so I'll ask it in a second.
What do you anticipate the price point for this to be? And do you think that would be fully or partially covered by insurance?
So yeah, our current price point for the system is going to roughly be $700 for the sensors, the headset, charging platform, and then there will be a monthly subscription to get access to the games.
And we really should put that in context of medical devices. I don't know if anyone's ever priced medical devices. They're expensive. One of our goals with this product was to create a product that was accessible to the most people possible. I think that we've had a lot of advisors that have told us you should really be charging a lot more. This is a virtual reality health system. You know, there's simple little splits that cost $1,000, you know, that you can go get. And so, but we really decided that we don't, at this point, feel it right to do that. We want to create a product that's accessible to the most people possible, and so we're putting it at the lowest price point we can and still pay for everything. And the question about insurance, ultimately we hope that it will be covered by insurance. It's not going to be out of the gate. It's a process that will support.
Now, for context, one of our competitors in another state, we've been looking at them. We saw their system, and the sensor they're using, just the sensor they're using, their purchase price for that is you get for $8,000. So they're going to be, you know, I don't know what they're going to charge for their system.
One question over here.
Yeah. So with your game development, is that something you're doing in-house, or are you shopping that out to third-party publishers? Are you opening that up to independent game developers? Because it is like a big market for just like apps or like even Xbox outside.
Sure. The idea, we get this question a lot, can you take existing games and use them possibly? Right now, what we're doing is building custom games that are specifically designed to address the modalities that we're dealing with, and those are being done in-house. We have some in-house developers that are doing that as part of our team.
Are you keeping like a software suite open to developers who would be interested in providing a game to you, like through your approval of the game?
I think that would be a wonderful next step. We're not doing that right now, but ultimately as we go on, if there were other developers that wanted to build for the system, that would be fantastic. But we're a little ways away from that at the moment. But that's a great idea. It's something we'd love to pursue.
One of the things I'm very excited about is we went to the Thunder Launchpad. The Thunder was really excited about our project. And in our first game, they were saying, how can we help you? We're like, well, could you write a letter? Could you, do whatever? And they said, how about in your first game, we feature the Thunder? And we're like, yes. And so our first game is, what do we call it?
Rumble with Rumble. And it's actually it's a one-on-one basketball game with Rumble, the mascot from the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I don't know how well that's going to play in Seattle, but here I think it'll be great. And we're obviously starting local with a lot of the people that we already know. Those first 200 users will be people that are in a network of folks that are not too far away from us. And so being able to have an NBA team endorse your game and your product and not just endorse it but be in it, I think is important for a startup like us that's just getting out there. So we appreciate the Thunder a lot.
Questions on the questions? Mike, back here.
How do you view the regulatory environment for health, things like this? Do you have to go through a lot of processes and check boxes and stuff to be able to put something in the market, or can you just go to the market and let the market use your stuff? Is there any issues along those lines?
Right, so the main regulators would be the FDA and CMS. The FDA has a new program for novel technology, which virtual reality is part of. What's interesting, I got a document about a year ago from the NIH, and because of the paucity of data on people with CP and what we can do for them, they produced a white paper. Over the next 5 years, they're really encouraging researchers to come up with new technologies for people with CP. We had no idea that they were going to do that. I got it on my email and I'm like, hey Brent, but specifically in the document, they mentioned virtual reality as a potential tool for treatment of a variety of neurological disorders. Now, if they're talking about it, that's going to really help our process as we go through the regulatory process. Initially, we're going to be very careful on how we word our device at.
Questions, comments? What can we, as a Cleveland County Mormon community, do to support Viribus this whole time?
Well, you can have people take the survey. That would be great. Beyond that, just letting people in the medical community know, I think, about this kind of work, the fact that it's happening here in Oklahoma. I think there's two prongs, and I know Overruled could chime in easily on this. Oklahoma, I believe, is at a turning point where we are starting to see technology startups percolating in a way that we haven't in a long time. And it runs the gamut from AR, VR to medical to everything in between. And it's becoming more of a fertile environment for that sort of thing. And I think that can spur on the more people talk about what's going on. So the more people in Oklahoma begin to realize these things are happening in Oklahoma, it just continues to build gravity around that. And so I would say go out and tell people that Oklahoma is a fantastic place to do a tech startup. Oklahoma is a great place to get support, to get people behind you. I don't know a lot of places where you could go through a startup or a thing like the Thunder Launchpad and have an NBA team agree to put their mascot in your game. I mean, Oklahoma is rallying around these kinds of enterprises. And so on a high level, just telling people and helping people understand that tech startups in particular are vital here, and that can happen, and hopefully that will attract more VC interest in our state. And I know we're a little behind other states in some of that, but I think that's changing too. And so from a high level doing that, and then on a closer to the ground level, helping us get the word out. If you know therapists, if you know families who have children with disabilities, letting them know this is happening, and referring them to our website. ViribusVR.com is our website. It's just getting ready to be relaunched later this week. So
I would be curious, by a show of hands, how many people know a family that has an individual with a disability? So, right?
So those are the folks you want to tell about this.
So, and I would like to go with Ben said, it's not Oklahoma. You know, it's easy to say, well, you go out to the West Coast, where that culture is, but you won't find more supportive community here. I mean, what you'll notice is you go to the Washington, you'll make friendships, collaboration, all kinds of things. So,
That's join me, and thank you.